Hey, Chandler Bolt here, CEO and founder of Self Publishing School, and welcome to today's training. Super excited to have you here. If you'll just do me a quick favor as we get started and go ahead and comment in the chat and let me know, A, that you can hear me, and B, that you can see me, and then also let me know where you're tuning in from. So this chat's going to go directly to me, and it should be on the right-hand side. So you can just comment in the chat, let me know that you can hear me, see me, and where you're tuning in from, and we're going to get kicked off here in just 1 second. Guinness says from Pennsylvania, Tosh, Mark, how you doing? Leslie from Suffolk, England, Mark from Gainesville, Florida, Abby from Maryland, awesome. We got Ketera from Rockville, Maryland, nice. Let's see, we've got Martina from Chicago, Laura also from England, Mary from Georgia, David outside Chicago, Stephanie from Scottsdale, Jenna from Ottawa, Ontario, Zachary from Colorado, Kate from Denver, Michigan, Patsy, Tony from Ontario, Canada. We've got Miranda in Belgium, Randy in Maine. Nice. We've got Irene from Brisbane, Australia. That's amazing. Awesome. We've got folks tuning in from everywhere. Well, this is great. Excited to have you all here. Oh yeah, Maria from Buenos Aires. That's awesome. Well, cool. Hey, I'm gonna share my slides here in just 1 second, and we're gonna get things kicked off. So I'll ask one more time if you can hear me and if you can see me, and we're just gonna go ahead and dive straight into it and get to the training. So 1 second. And you should see this. Now I'm going to go full screen. Now, if you'll just comment one more time and let me know that you can see me. And now you should be able to see my screen, but you won't see me anymore. You should just see my screen here. Kylie from Gold Coast, Australia. We've got Kushnam from India. Awesome. Yep, Vicky, that chat goes straight to me. And looks like everyone is hearing me and seeing the screen. So that's great. So super excited for this presentation. Hopefully you are as well. We're going to go probably about an hour here. So if you can just block out that time, also go ahead and close out any browsers or windows or Facebook, or turn your phone on Do Not Disturb. I think it'll be really beneficial for you if you just commit your undivided attention to this training for the next 45 minutes to an hour. And if you do that, I know you're going to get a lot out of this. Now, the reason that we're here is to chat about how to write and launch your book to $10,000 in the next 90 days. So I kind of call this the busy person's guide to getting your book done in 30 minutes per day. Now, if you stay till the end, you're going to get two things. Number one, you're going to get my slides. And then number two, you're going to get my notes. So the most awesome notes that you've ever seen. So kind of the cliff notes. You're going to want to make sure that you stay all the way to the end. Now, if we haven't got the chance to meet yet, and this is the first time we're kind of getting to know each other. My name's Chandler Bolt. I'm originally from a small town in the middle of nowhere that you've probably never heard of called Walhalla, South Carolina. I'm the author of 6 best-selling books, wrote the first one at age 19. I've taught thousands of people to write and publish their first book through my company, Self Publishing School. So this is an online education company that we've built over the last 4 years to a little over $10 million in those 4 years. And I did all this despite being a C- English student. So I'm a firm believer that if I can do it and do it well, then so can you. Awesome. Just kind of a fun fact, something that not many people know about me, is that my brother plays in the Grammy-nominated rock and roll band called Need to Breathe. So I don't know if we have any Need to Breathe fans in the house, but this is him on the left-hand side. His name's Seth Bolt. He has an awesome treehouse business and plays in the band. And yeah, this has nothing to do with my presentation other than to say I'd be a bad brother if I didn't mention this. So if you haven't heard of Need to Breathe or Bolt Farm Treehouse, you need to check them out. Their music is awesome. Oh, it looks like Jordan and Tony, and it looks like we got some other Need to Breathe fans in the house. So that's kind of cool. Well, awesome. Hey, so how many of you, and this is going to be very interactive if you haven't already noticed, this is going to be, a two-way conversation throughout our time together. So just make sure that When I ask a question, you comment in the chat box, and that keeps me from just staring at my computer screen, talking to no one. And we'll both have a whole lot more fun if that's the way that this rolls. So how many of you have ever heard of Robert Kiyosaki or the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad? If you have, comment in the chat. And I see David says, yes, fan of Need to Breathe. And Chancellor loves Need to Breathe. Awesome. And then it looks like a decent amount of people have heard of Rich Dad, Poor Dad or Robert Kiyosaki, and some others haven't. So I remember, I was kind of one of those business nerds in high school that I just always looked up to my dad who ran his own business, and I wanted to be like him when I grew up. I remember he could always come to my t-ball practices when my friends' parents couldn't. And I think subconsciously I realized that, running a business provides you a whole lot of freedom that you might not otherwise have, right? So I remember, asking him for book recommendations, and he gave me this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I remember reading this book, and it blew my mind. I had two very distinct epiphanies. Number one was that I wanted to run my own business one day. And then number two, it introduced me to this concept called passive income. Right now, in the book, he lays out a simple equation that passive income equals real estate. So it's kind of this exciting thing. But then at 17 years old, I quickly realized I don't have $40,000 to put down on a duplex. Right. So I kind of gave up on passive income and put it on the maybe someday list and went off to school at College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, it was there that I quickly realized I was learning how to run a business from professors who had never ran a business, right? And that was just did not make any sense to me. So I decided to drop out. Now, right before I dropped out, I studied abroad. I figured I always wanted to do this. This is kind of a cheap way to see Europe on the school's dime. This is actually my mom's idea. She thought it'd, give me some time to rethink my decision of dropping out. But I studied abroad and then dropped out, right? So this is me in Austria snowboarding. I don't know if we have any snowboarders in the house, but it was right about this time that I wrote and published my very first book. And this book was called The Productive Person. So it was all about productivity hacks for entrepreneurs and kind of combined the lessons that I learned from running my first six-figure business while also being a full-time college student. Now, I launched this book and it ended up going way better than I ever imagined. So I actually remember I was on this chairlift. You can see on the right-hand side of this picture here with a friend, and he said, "Hey Chandler, I heard the book is doing well. Is the book actually making any money? I heard that books don't make money." And I thought about it for a second, and I said, "You know what? Actually, yes. While we were snowboarding all day yesterday, the book made over $400." And it was as if, as I said that, right, as those words came out of my mouth, that I realized this was that passive income thing, right? This was the thing that I never thought would happen, and it's happening, right? People are buying my book all around the world and reading it, people that I don't even know. And it's one of those things where once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? I just, from that point forward, my life was kind of forever changed. Now, to answer his question, did the book make any money? When month one, it made $6,600. Month two, $4,400. Month three, $3,100. Month four, $2,500. Month five, $3,400. And it kept bringing in passive income month after month after month. Now, we always say that, writing and publishing a book is kind of like opening the door to Narnia, right? How many of you have seen the movie Chronicles of Narnia, or maybe you've read the book? Well, if you have, you know that they kind of discovered this key that opens this door to Narnia. It's this magical world that they didn't know existed. Now, this is what happened for me, and this is what happened for a lot of our students is, once you become a published author, all of these opportunities open up to you, right? For me, that looked like I started getting interviewed for top podcasts. I started getting featured on online publications, so like the Huffington Post, Business Insider, stuff like that. I got so people are saying they love that movie, awesome. And yes, Scott, people have done children's books with self-publishing school. I'll talk about that kind of later. And actually, one final question: am I echoing? Let me know if I'm echoing. If I am, maybe just turn off and turn on your sound or restart the browser. Hopefully I'm not. It looks like one person might be echoing for. Okay, great, no echo. So I got offered a 7-figure digital publishing deal. Built a 4,000 person email list. So everyone talked about you need to build an email list. Well, I built a 4,000 person email list just off of that first book. I started a business on the back end. And then the big thing for me was it gave me confidence to take on bigger and better projects. The book represented something tangible. So something that I could hold in my hands, right? That, I just tried side project after side project and just failed. And at a certain point, you start to think that you're a failure, right? And maybe some of you can relate with that. But the book was finally something that I did that was successful. Now, as a result of all this, I believe that a book is the best and the fastest passive income source that you can create. Now, are you going to be a multimillionaire off of it? Most likely not. Is it a great source of income and a great source of initial passive income? Absolutely. And like I said, it can be that door to Narnia. Now, why a book? Well, a few reasons. Obviously, it's personally fulfilling while also leaving a legacy. It legitimizes you in your industry if you're doing this for business purposes. You're able to tap into an existing ecosystem. So this is a crazy stat, but there's over 310 million buyers on Amazon, and over 70% of all books sold are sold on Amazon. So Amazon brings the customers, and you're able to tap into that ecosystem to sell books. And then lastly, there's been kind of some recent and radical changes in the publishing industry that make it easier than ever to publish a book and easier than ever to purchase a book. And not only that, but there's been this massive shift away from traditional publishers and towards self-publishing. So the big 5 publishers account for only 16% of best-selling ebooks, and over 70% of the profit from all books goes to indie authors. So people who are with small independent publishers or who are self-publishing. So it's been kind of this crazy shift. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's all sunshine and roses, because it's not. The average author sells less than 100 copies of their book. That sucks, right? And so what I really want to talk about is kind of this other group of people, what I call the thriving 1%, that are making all the money from book sales. Now, what do the thriving 1% know that everyone else doesn't? Well, that's kind of what I want to break down into this presentation. So I'm going to break this presentation into 3 parts. Part number 1, we're going to talk about how to find and refine your book idea for maximum impact and maximum income. Step number 2, we're going to talk about how to write your book in as little as a weekend without writing a single word. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but I'm going to break down the process for that. And then part number 3, we're going to talk about how to successfully launch and earn $10,000 or more from your book launch without selling your soul. And then at the very end, I'm going to tell you about some info on how you can personally work with us at Self-Publishing School to write and publish your book successfully. Okay? Does that sound like a plan? Awesome. So let's dive into lesson number 1. Now, I want to do a quick poll. So we're going to talk about book ideas. How many of you have an idea what you want to write about? If that's you, type I have an idea. How many of you have no idea? If that's you, type no idea. And then how many of you have too many ideas? All right? And you don't know where to start. If that's you, type too many ideas. Okay, let's see. Isabel says I have too many. Zachary has 2 ideas. Thomas, Steve has no idea. Patsy, no idea. Mark, no idea. And sorry if I'm calling the wrong names. These are honestly scrolling so fast that I can hardly read them. Edna says, hey, so great to be back in touch with SPS. Hey, Edna, good to see you. Ruben, no idea, have an idea. Looks like Michael says too many partial ideas. That's good. Well, it's not good, but this part's going to be helpful. Alexandra has several ideas that she's toying with. Okay, awesome. So this kind of runs the gamut. So I'll break this part down into 2 sections. So section number 1 is what to do if you don't have an idea, or maybe if you have a partial idea, like some of you were mentioning. And then part number 2 is going to be what to do if you have too many ideas. So let's first talk about the idea finder. Now, these are a handful of questions that you can ask to really narrow in on what it is that you think you're going to write about. Now, again, I mentioned if you stay to the end, you'll get the access to these slides. So I know that I'm probably going fast And so you can obviously take pictures of the slides, but you'll also get the slides at the end if you stay to the end. So these are 5 questions you can ask yourself. So number 1, what do you get paid for, or what's your expertise? Number 2, what are the broken record conversations that you have with every new client or prospect? Number 3, what are you most passionate about? So what's a topic that you know a lot about? Number 4, what's your favorite hobby? And then number 5, what do people come to you for advice on? My favorite one that I'm going to really zero in on is this first one. So most of us on this call are knowledge workers, meaning that we get paid for some sort of expertise that we have in our brain. Now, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a teacher or a professor, whether you are a consultant, any occupation where you use your brain to get work done and you have specialized knowledge, then you're a knowledge worker. Now, what exists there is what I call the gap. There's where you're at with your years of experience and where I would be if I went in your industry today. Now, in that gap, oftentimes there's a great book there, right? You've learned this stuff the hard way over years, maybe even over decades, and you're able to shortcut that learning for someone else. Okay, so these are the questions that you can ask yourself when you're trying to figure out what can you write about. And I'm going to walk through a few of our students and some examples to get you to kind of get your brain going. So this first one's Kat Wonders. She had a passion for yoga and specifically for using yoga to help with chronic pain. So she wrote this book called Yoga for You, and this sparked a whole business for her. So she says, thanks to my successful launch, my business has boomed an extra $30,000 this month. I cannot thank you enough. I know I keep repeating this, but I'm still processing the whole thing, right? So book then turned into a business. This is a fiction book from one of our students, Ashley Emma, Undercover Amish. I never would have guessed that this was such a massive hit. This has been a huge hit for her. Okay, another one here. This is Wendy Vanderpool. She's a veterinarian, and she helps people with pet loss grief. And she has a whole series now. My dog is dying. What do I do? My cat is dying. What do I do? This whole pet loss grief series. She's sold books and these books have helped her grow her business. How about a cookbook? How about a Spanish cookbook, right? So whether you want to do a cookbook or a book in a different language, this is a great example from Yahara Florentino. So one of our students here about writing a book in a different language. And then lastly, memoirs. I know a lot of people want to write kind of a self-help type memoir. So, kind of telling your life story and using the lessons that you learn from that to help other people. And this is a great example for one of our students, Lisa Fleetwood. And it's a travel memoir talking about traveling with her dogs to the US, right? She's from Australia. So another great example there. Now, I've told you how to come up with an idea. What if you have too many ideas? Right? Well, I'm going to walk you through this three questions that you can ask yourself to narrow in on which book that you can write first. Now, this is an important note. Make sure you write this down. When we're working with folks at Self-Publishing School, we only have 2 rules. Rule number 1 is that you can't edit while you write. We all know someone who has 5 perfectly written chapters in their unfinished book, right? So you can't edit while you write. And then rule number 2, and I think this is probably more important, is that you can't write more than 1 book at one time. So maybe you've heard the proverb that says, you try to catch 2 rabbits, you'll end up catching neither. Well, you try to write 2 books, you'll end up getting neither one done. So we got to figure out which book are you going to write first. And to help with that, we're going to ask 3 questions. Question number 1, which one can I finish the fastest? So maybe you have the most content on this topic or the most life experience. Question number 2, which one am I most likely to finish? So maybe you're passionate about this topic and you're going to take this to the finish line. And then question number 3, which one's going to make me happy? So which one are you going to enjoy writing? Now, you'll realize that the focus here is on getting the rough draft done, because what we've seen with so many students time and time again is that when you get that rough draft done, the light, you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel and believe that you can make this happen. Now, to illustrate this point, I'll use my mom as an example. So my mom just recently joined Self-Publishing School. So she's had kind of this book. She's wanted to write a book for a while, and she's seen me help thousands of people through the process. And she said, Chandler, This is the year. Let's make it happen, right? So my mom has two very different book ideas. She's a realtor, so she sells houses. So she said, I could write a real estate book and that could help me sell more houses, so help her business. Or the other one is my mom is what some people would call a mistake baby, right? So her parents weren't intentionally having her. And so, she felt like she was born into a situation where not only was she not wanted, but that kind of stuck with her whole life, right? So she wants to write a book about how do you survive, thrive, and overcome that. So for other people who feel like they're maybe in situations or places where people don't want them there, right? How do you cope with that? And how do you rise above that? So two very distinct book ideas, right? And I see we got a lot of love for Regina Bolt here. I appreciate that. But two very distinct book ideas, right? Now, it's often surprising to people which one I told my mom to write first. Now, if you just look at these questions, which one can she finish the fastest? Is she most likely to finish and is going to make her happy? Most people get this wrong. So it's actually the real estate book. Why? Well, because she could write that book in her sleep, right? She could get the rough draft finished. She's most likely to finish, and it's going to make her happy. It's not her life's work. The second book would definitely be her life's work, but that's going to be a difficult book to write. That's going to be, kind of like birthing a child. And in a lot of cases, we'll say books like that, it's free therapy. She's going to have to work through some things in writing that book. So she should write the real estate book first, and then she can go back and write the other book. And the good thing about learning how to write a book is I always say that it's kind of like learning how to ride a bike. Once you know how to do it, you can do it again and again and again, and you're never going to forget it. So it's a skill set that you learn once and you can repeat multiple times. So that's getting clear on your book idea. See, we got some people guessing right. Awesome. Is this helpful so far? Are you guys tracking with me? All right, we're going to dive into the actual writing portion and talk about how to write your book in as little as a weekend without writing a single word. Now, I mentioned earlier, I'm a C-level English student and a college dropout, right? So as you can imagine, I kind of remember back in high school and college that, we'd have to write a 2 or 3 page paper, and my friends would write it in an hour or 2 or 3, turn it in and get an A. I'd stay up all night at the library, and I'd turn it in and get a C or a D. I wasn't very good at writing, and in fact, I hated writing. So as you can imagine, when I decided to write and publish a book, it was kind of intimidating. But it was one of those things that probably much like you, I felt like I had knowledge to share. I had a moral obligation to help other people through the life lessons that I learned. And I said, you know what? I'm committed to doing this, and I'm going to have to get over my own fears and get over my own insecurities and my own limitations and do this so that I can help other people. So I went to a mentor. His name's Adam Carroll. And I said, Adam, I know that you've written a book. How'd you do it? All right. One of my favorite ways to learn something, and just this is kind of a general approach to life for me, is I always go to someone who's done what I want to do and then learn directly from them. It saves you so much time, so much money, and so much energy, right? So I went to Adam, and he introduced me to this concept called mind mapping. Now, mind mapping, actually, how many of you have heard of mind mapping? A lot of people have heard of it. It's not a new concept. What's new is using it, right? So a mind map is simply a brain dump of all the ideas you have around your book, and you do this before you get started. So let's see, Mark, Stephanie, Robin, Michael, Karen, Ernest. Yeah, a lot of people have heard of mind mapping. So we're actually going to walk through a mind mapping exercise right now. Now, you should have gotten an email before this webinar. And if you can just go and look at the email that was either 15 minutes or an hour before this webinar, there should be a link to download the mind map. If you haven't already, go ahead and download that and print it out. Or if you don't have time to do that, I know we're going to be moving quickly here, just get out a blank sheet of printer paper. Okay, so either go ahead and print out the mind map if you haven't already, or get out a blank sheet of printer paper. And if you need kind of a shortcut, you can go to self-publishingschool.com/apply. Scroll to the bottom. It'll say click to get notes and stuff like that. And then on that page, there's a link to download this mind map. So go ahead and get that out now. And then comment in the chat, I've got my piece of paper or something to that effect. once you have it. Okay, so go ahead and comment in the chat once you have your piece of paper out, and we will go into the mind mapping portion. Okay, Joyce has got it. Stephanie's ready. Diane's got it. Ready. Helen's from Switzerland, and she's ready. Awesome, Helen. Elizabeth is ready to roll. All right, a lot of people have their paper or their mind map. So we're going to walk through this process. So step number one, in the middle of that paper, write out your book topic, okay? So write your topic in the middle of the page where that bubble is. And then step number two, and this is what we're going to take probably about 3 to 4 minutes right now to do, is write out everything that you can think of on this topic. So think stories that you have, examples that you have, maybe broken record conversations that you have with people over and over around this topic. Maybe it's books that you've read, ideas that you have, stuff like that. Okay, so go ahead and I'm gonna put a little mood music on in the background and go ahead and start working on that mind map. And Mary, and I think maybe one other person, the link is self-publishingschool.com/apply. You scroll to the bottom of that page, there'll be a little link that says click to get slides, and then you should find the mind map on that paper or on that page. All right, we're mind mapping. We're going to go for about 1 or 2 more minutes. And yes, this does work for fiction. So if you're doing fiction book, you want to think about what's the hero's journey, right? What are the major points of conflict? The characters. What's the character development that's going to happen? What's the scene and setting? You can start to brainstorm those things on this same mind map. We're going to go for about 1 more minute. "15 seconds. All right, pencils down. Just kidding. Anyway, I have flashback to standardized testing. All right, so how many of you made progress? I know there's only a couple minutes there, but if you made progress, comment in the chat box and just put I made progress. Now, when I'm traveling around doing some speaking and I give a similar talk to this, I often would ask people to hold up their mind maps. And obviously you can do that. I'm just not going to see it here. But I'm amazed at how fast people can make progress on this. Yeah. Looks like, okay, awesome. Ton of people made progress here. Randy, Cy, Tony, Leslie, Michael, Diane. Okay, so good news and bad news, right? So the good news is that it sounds like a lot of you made progress. The bad news is that this process takes more than 4 minutes, right? So for a lot of you, you're probably just getting started and ideas were just starting to flow right when I cut you off. So what I would recommend is as soon as this webinar is over, that you take 15 more minutes to finish your mind map. Now, if you can commit to taking 15 minutes, either as soon as this webinar is over or before you go to bed tonight, to finish your mind map, just type in the chat box, I can commit to that. Now, what I think you'll find is that, and maybe what you've already found, is that you have way more information in that noggin of yours than you think. So this is really going to be a helpful process to get that out and onto paper. Now, looks like we got a lot of people committing. So Elizabeth, Stephanie, Isabel, awesome. Laurel, Tonda, Kate, that's amazing. So let me walk you through the last 2 steps of this process. So once you take that 15 minutes and write out everything you can think of, you're going to start to organize your common groups of ideas into groups or sections. Now, this is going to be 4 to 7 sections that are really just groups of ideas. Now, once you have that, you're going to order that in the order that you want to write about it in the book. And then once you have that, you're going to drill down into each section and do 3 or 4 chapters per section. So let's imagine for a second that you got 4 sections, you got 4 chapters per section. That's 12 chapters, and that's going to form actually your chapter by chapter outline that you'll be able to use to write the book. Now, once you have this chapter by chapter outline, writing the book actually becomes the easy part. Now, the way that you're going to do this is you're going to spend 10 minutes mind mapping the chapters. So you're going to do this 1 chapter at a time. So let's say chapter 1, you're going to spend 10 minutes mind mapping everything you can think of on that chapter, 10 minutes turning that mind map into an outline, and then 60 to 90 minutes writing the chapter. And you're just going to repeat this process chapter by chapter by chapter. Now, this is the exact process that my brother and I used to write our very first book in 1 week. Now, how many of you speak better than you write? So if you speak better than you write, this actually is kind of fun. This becomes a choose your own adventure. So you'll spend 10 minutes mind mapping, 10 minutes outlining, then 10 minutes speaking the chapter. And this can really speed up the process. So this is very simple. It's 3 steps. You're going to speak the chapter. Step number 2, you're going to get it transcribed. And then step number 3, you're going to polish it off. So it depends on which resource you have more of, time or money. If time is more scarce, and then you can pay someone to do the editing for you. If money is more scarce, then you can do the editing yourself. Either way, now instead of staring at that dreaded blank Word doc, you've got you've got words on a page that you can work from. Right now, the question I often get is, how long does it take to get a rough draft finished? Well, the ideal length of a book is about 15 to 40,000 words, maybe a little bit longer if you're writing fiction. The average person speaks about 150 words a minute. And now that means that you can easily get a draft done in a few hours, right? This is meant to be an extreme example, but just goes to show that it's not going to take as long as you think it will. Now, this process is literally so easy to follow that an 8-year-old can do it. So this is our youngest student. Her name's Emma Sumner. And she wrote a book called The Fairies of Waterfall Island. Now, she followed this exact process. She brought in $4,000 in book sales within 3 months, donated all of that money to an autism awareness charity called Autism Speaks. She started getting interviewed on all these TV stations. She did a book signing with 10,000 people there. Pretty incredible story. So if you have kids, Emma's dad first joined self-publishing school, and that inspired Emma to write her book. And he was just raved about, how many life lessons that she's learned from doing this, all from confidence, from being on TV, to her reading level improving, to budgeting. She's going on a field trip with her school to Washington, D.C., paying for it with her book royalties, just all these things. So really cool. If you're a parent, something that you could potentially on down the road do with your kid. Now, the truth here is you do have the time to write a book. So don't tell me you don't have time. This is probably the biggest excuse that I get around writing a book is I don't have the time. You do have the time. It can be done in as little as a weekend, or you can chip away at it over 90 days, right? So you can spend, 30 to 60 minutes per day. And then lastly, you don't have to be a natural writer or the next Hemingway. If you speak better than you write, do that. Play to your strengths to get your book done. All right? Now you guys still tracking with me? No one's asleep? All right. We're going to move into section number 3. We're in the home stretch here. We're going to talk about marketing and launching your book. For some people, this is their favorite part. For some people, this is their least favorite part. So a few years ago, I told you I dropped out of school, and my book was making a few $1,000s a month. And then, I kind of had already written the headlines, right? I said, I heard about Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and all these people who dropped out of school and went on to be millionaires. And I said, look out, world, here I come. I'm already seeing the newspaper headlines. I'm going to be a millionaire and everything's going to work out and we're going to all live happily ever after, right? Well, I went out into the world and pretty quickly realized, this is 18 months later, a slap in the face, which is that it's way harder to build a business than it is to successfully launch a book. So I woke up one day and all of my bank accounts were negative. So you can see the screenshots on the screen here. This is my checking account and my savings account. Now, I don't know how good you are at numbers or math, but negative numbers are not a good thing, right? Especially when it comes to your bank account. And I borrowed $15,000 from friends and family to kind of try to launch my business. Now, this same day, I went to make myself some food. I went into my kitchen and made myself a double end-piece peanut butter sandwich. All I had literally was 2 end pieces of bread and peanut butter. It was the driest, most disgusting sandwich that I've ever had. Now, I was giving this talk the other day, and a lady said, "This looks like a frowny face in the sandwich." And that's kind of how I felt in this moment. Now, the big takeaway for me here was that I needed to learn the skill of marketing, right? I talked to so many of my mentors and they said, Chandler, you need to learn the skills of sales, marketing, and copywriting. If you learn those skills, you'll never be broke. You'll never be out of a job because people always need more leads and more customers. And more importantly than that, you'll be able to write your own paycheck, right? This is just a skill set. This is the reason your business is failing. So I doubled down, right? I spent all kinds of money on courses, on conferences, on books, everything that I could get my hands on to learn about sales, marketing, and copywriting. Now, I learned a lot, and then I relaunched a book. So I launched my book called Book Launch. I said, hey, this has worked for me once. Why don't I launch another book? Well, this book kicked off self-publishing school. So in the first 55 days, this book brought in 3,300 leads and over $92,000 for my business. Now, not only that, but it helped me land on the homepage of the Your Money section of Business Insider. So they did this article about how self-publishing school is revolutionizing the publishing industry and how, we were, up to some big things. So it just set off this whole ripple effect of things, including helping me grow my business from 0 to $1.32 million in the first 11 months. And this book still brings in leads and still brings in business every single month. So for the business folks in the audience, think about this as your book is a clone of you, right? And it's able to go out into the marketplace and bring in new customers. Now, what I want to break down in this section is how to successfully launch your book. So the 3 steps that I used and the 3 steps that you can use. Now, step number 1, and this is very important, is you need to get a good cover that grabs attention. Now, I'm amazed at how many people will spend years writing their book and they'll spend 5 minutes and $5 on a cover, right? You need to invest in a good cover. So a good cover has 3 things. Number 1, it grabs attention. So I'll use this as an example here. You can see the orange cover. It grabs attention. Number 2, the title is easy to read, and it's in the upper third. So this title is super easy to read. And then number 3, you need to instantly understand what this book's about and whether or not it's for you. So that's kind of my litmus test, is does a potential reader instantly understand? Right? If I were to ask you, what do you think this book's about? What do you think? It's about how to launch a book, right? If I were to do this same test, stands out, title's easy to read, you instantly know what the book's about. It's about how to publish a book, right? The proven path from blank page to published author. So you instantly know. You need to have a good cover that grabs attention. Number 2, you need to build a launch team. And then number 3, I'm going to walk through this launch team concept in just one second. You need to get reviews. So not only is it important to have reviews when you launch, but it's also important to continue to get reviews long after you launch. So let's kind of go 2 birds, 1 stone here in this launch team concept. So what's a launch team? A launch team is a small group of people that support your book. It could be 5 people, 15 people. It could be 50 people. Now this also could be friends, family members, colleagues, coworkers, customers, anyone who supports you, your book topic, and the message that you're spreading with this book, right? So there's 2 sides of the coin. There's what these people agree to do, which is to read your book ahead of time and leave a review when it launches. Now this is huge. Imagine having 30, 40, 50, 100 reviews when you launch from your launch team. This really helps you have kind of a strong launch out of the gate. And then there's the flip side. So what they get in return. So they get a free digital copy of the book. They get their name in the book. And they get to be a part of something inspiring, right? So they get the personal satisfaction of helping create something meaningful. Now, the way I run these launch teams is in a Facebook group, and I'll give them, 1 assignment per week for the 3 to 4 weeks leading up to the launch. Now, if you don't like Facebook, you don't have to use Facebook. You can use email. But this is the way that we run a launch team. Now, what happens when you follow these steps? So these 3 steps to launching your book. I want to give you a couple examples. This is Otakar Kletke. So she was working 2 jobs to make ends meet, and her entire income had to be earned actively, right? Not passive income. And then she wrote and published her book, Hear Your Body Whisper. And this book brought in, it doubled her income. She was able to quit both of her jobs and then go back home to homeschool her daughter. So pretty cool. This is an example of Lise Cartwright. So she had spent months trying to figure out this whole book thing. And she was trading her hours for dollars as a freelancer. But then she joined self-publishing school, wrote and published a book, actually ended up doing multiple, started making a few $1,000s a month from her book. And then this is for fiction authors. So this is Steve Windsor. He dreamed about writing his fiction book, right? And then he finally wrote it and then started earning a couple $1,000 a month, which is kind of exciting. Really exciting, actually. And then this is one of my favorite examples, Eileen Wilder. So she joined self-publishing school with no idea what she was going to write about. She discovered her idea, wrote the book, launched it. The book did so well that it got picked up by a publisher. They republished the book. And the next thing she knew, she was doing her book was front and center in Barnes & Noble, and she was doing a book signing, right? So pretty awesome. Now I want to walk through how to have a $10,000 book launch, right? This is obviously what we talked about a little bit earlier. I want to build on this. So you can do this in a couple different ways. First things first, you're going to want to publish your book in multiple formats. So some people read Kindle books, some people read print books, some people will only listen to audiobooks. So you're kind of capturing a different market with each of these formats. Now, based on the royalty structures that you see here, this is, if you were to just sell Kindle books, it'd take 1,800 books. If you were to just sell print, there's the numbers. And if you were to just sell audio. But the good thing is that you're going to sell a mixture of all of these. And I know that these probably seem like big numbers, but let's think about this. And this is really, really important, is that, the sales don't end in your launch month. Remember, we're building a passive income stream so that a year from now, 2 years from now, every single month, you're getting a check, right? So maybe you sell 10 copies, 50 copies of your book in that month, you're still getting a royalty check. So just like Emma is using her royalty check to help pay for her class field trip. You can use your royalty check for something else. Now, the other way to have a $10,000 book launch is to use this for business. So this is, again, for the business folks. And this is, I think, probably one of the highest leverage ways that you can do this is get clients from your book. So if you get 5 clients and those clients pay $2,000 each, well, that's $10,000 launch. Or you get 2 clients at $5,000 each, that's a $10,000 launch. Now, let me walk you through some examples. So this is Otakara again. So this is she said 9 months bestseller, over 10,000 copies sold in 9 months. Thank you, SPS. She says, if you're on your journey, don't give up. When you publish a Kindle book, don't stop. Make it all formats. I wouldn't be selling 1,000+ books monthly if I didn't do that. If I can do that, despite English being my second language, so can you. Right? This is David McKay. He runs a photography business. He emailed me the other day, said, hey, it's been exactly 1 year since I joined self-publishing school and used these marketing tactics that I just showed you. He says, I've brought in over $10,000 in royalties from my books. So that's a $10,000 launch. And more importantly, $45,000 in business directly from his book for his photography business. And his books bring in about 30 to 40 leads a week. So while most people pay for leads, so name, email, phone number of people who are interested in doing business with them, he gets paid to get leads, right? Very different picture. Now, I don't know if we have any coaches kind of in the audience, but this is Emily Rose. So she went from her book, she published her book called Break Your Bad Love Habits. She texted me the other day, said she's making about $10,000 a month from her coaching business and only has to work about 6 hours a week with clients. And these are clients that found her through her book. And then lastly, this is Kathy Pieper. So one of our fiction students at Self-Publishing School. She did over $10,000 from her romance novel launch. Now, the truth here around the marketing part is that you don't have to be tech savvy to launch a book. You don't need to spend a ton of money on marketing, and you don't need a publisher. And it is possible to successfully launch your book to $10,000, right? I got to say, these results are not typical, but it is possible if you follow things, the process, and if you do this the right way. And again, just remember, you're setting it a long-term asset. So many people, I see them make the mistake of they're just looking at 1 month or 2 months or the first 3 months. And remember, you're going to keep getting paid month after month, year after year. Now, the last truth here is you need to learn the skill sets of marketing, right? This doesn't have to be from us, but you need to learn marketing and sales, even if you don't like it, because the old saying, if you build it, they will come, is just simply not true. You need to learn those skill sets, and especially specific to books. That's important. So let's kind of recap what we've covered so far. We've covered 3 things. Number 1, we talked about how to find and refine your book ideas. So we went through the idea finder, and then the 3 questions you can use to narrow in on which book to write first. We talked about the 3 steps to writing your book in a weekend, or maybe even speaking your book, if that's what you prefer. And then we walked through the 3 steps to successfully launch your book, and really how to have a $10,000 launch from your book without selling your soul. Now, let me ask you a question. Has this presentation felt a little bit like this? Right? I kind of opened up the fire hose, and I've taught you just about everything that I can teach you about writing and publishing a book in the span of the 48 minutes that we've been here together. Now, obviously, I can't teach you everything there is to know about writing and publishing a book successfully in 48 minutes. So because of that, I put together a special program to help you write and publish your book faster. So what I'd like to ask, and you can just let me know in the chat box, is can I have your permission to tell you about that? So if I have your permission, I'm going to take just a few minutes to walk you through what we've got. It's something really special. It's new and exciting. So we got something brand new for you that I think you'll like. And we've got kind of a special offer for folks who stay to the end of this webinar and who are interested. Awesome. Yes, please. Sure. Yes, 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 sir. Yes, that's why I'm here. Awesome. Of course. Yes, 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 yes. Awesome. So I want to tell you about Self-Publishing School. You've obviously heard me talk a little bit about that. You've seen some of the examples from some of our students. What is Self-Publishing School? Well, I always say it's kind of like it's a mix between Indiana Jones and Jillian Michaels, right? So we blaze the trail for you when it comes to writing and publishing your book and help you avoid landmines, help you avoid obstacles, and keep you from wasting a ton of time, a ton of money in the process. But then also, and maybe more importantly, we hold you accountable to do the work. So that we make sure that you follow through in the process, because chances are you've been thinking about doing this for years, and there's a reason that it hasn't happened yet, right? You need both sides of this equation. So what this looks like practically, we've got a step-by-step online education program for writing, marketing, and publishing books successfully. We're going to pair you up with a coach where you can get one-on-one coaching with your coach. We've got live weekly group coaching calls with me. So every single week, you can come in, ask questions, and you'll get every question answered every single week. So if you have any questions throughout the entire process, this is a live video call where you can either submit your questions ahead of time or show up and get your questions answered. Now, you're also going to get access to what we call our book production team, right? So these are cover designers, editors, formatters, you name it, folks that can save you a ton of money in the book production process. A lot of people say that this part of the process is worth the entire investment itself, just in the money that they save. And then lastly, you'll get access to community and accountability. So we've got a hyper-engaged community of authors just like you who are going through this process, who are happy to help, and then also who, they love supporting each other, right? So buying each other's books, stuff like that. Now, self-publishing school's been around for years. So we've got over 4,000 students that have been through the process. This is a map of some of North and South America here. And you can see these are all students, right? Not just customers, but students. And if you zoom out a little bit, this is the map of the entire world. So, we've helped folks in all around the world and tons of students. So this is a tried and true process that's proven. Now, if you're interested in finding out more about what it would look like to work with us, the next step is going to be to book a call. So we've set aside time in the next 48 hours to speak with you personally about how you can apply these ideas that we just talked about on this webinar starting today. So you'll be able to book a call, and I'll tell you the details in just one second. But you'll be able to book a call with one of the experts on my team. So these are folks who are extremely talented and who have helped thousands of people through this process. And whatever's holding you back, we'll show you how to overcome it. So the cost of this phone call is free. I've covered the cost of the phone call for you. All you have to do is book it and show up. Okay. So this is if you thought that this time that we spent together on this webinar was valuable, this is going to build on that. And I'm going to venture to say, I'm going to make a bold promise, and that's that this is going to be the most powerful 45 minutes that you've ever spent on your book, because you're going to be able to get one-on-one help and one-on-one attention from one of the experts on my team. Now, quick disclaimer, only book a call if you're serious about getting your book done now, right? So if this is maybe 18 to 24 months from now kind of thing, this probably doesn't make sense to book a call. Only book a call if you're serious about writing a great book that helps people, right? We're very selective about who we work with. We only want to work with people who genuinely care about writing a high quality book that's going to help people. Only book a call if you hold yourself to the highest standards of integrity. And then lastly, if you're serious about investing in yourself and investing in your book to make sure that it gets done the right way, and that it's done successfully. Okay, so if that's you, then all you need to do is go to self-publishingschool.com/apply, and you can book a call there. I also just dropped it. It should have just popped up right next to the chat box. So you should see a blue Schedule Now button. So you can click the blue Schedule Now button and go on over to a page, and then you're going to find times. So just scroll down, and you'll find times where you can book a call. And I want you to book the time that's closest to now, right? So the sooner the better when it comes to booking your call. And I'm going to walk you through this process in just one second. But once you book the call, comment in the chat and just type, "I booked a call," right? So if you booked a call, just comment in the chat and say, "I booked a call." Now, first things first, before I walk you through the process, why are we doing this? Well, I mentioned this earlier. Writing and publishing a book changed my life forever, right? It was one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my life. And I've seen that happen for so many of our students. And I love helping people and I love giving back. And I just believe that books change lives, right? It changes the lives of the person who writes the book, and it changes the lives of the people who read the book. So I just love helping people and giving back. And obviously I know that you might also be interested in our help. And if you're interested in that, we can talk specifics about what that looked like. And we can talk about next steps about what it would look like to work together. So if you haven't already, all you have to do is schedule a call at self-publishingschool.com/apply, or you can click the blue Schedule Now button. So go ahead and click that link, head on over to the page, and what you're going to find is you're going to see a video. Scroll below that video, and you should see something that looks kind of like this. Now, this is going to be a little box. It might take a second to load, but then you're going to see times. And you're going to, like I said, you're going to want to select the time that's closest to now. So click and select a time, and then it's going to be a two-step process. Step number 2 is you're going to fill out a very brief application that's going to help us learn more about you and more about your book. And it's really going to help make sure that you get the most out of your time on the call and that you can come prepared. And then the person that you're chatting with, that they can come prepared as well. Now, once you book a call, so you'll press the submit button. You book a call, you're going to go to a page that says, hey, thanks for booking a call. Please watch this video carefully for next steps. So there's a short 3-minute video that's going to tell you what to expect and make sure that you get the most out of the call. Now, a couple quick things. So first things first, this is kind of like buying tickets, maybe on Ticketmaster or StubHub. There's a lot of people on this webinar. So there's a decent chance that your spot might get claimed while you're in the middle of this process. If there's a little glitch, that's probably the case, is because we got so many people going to that page right now that, the spots are booking up. So if you get an error, all you have to do is just say, hey, let me find another time. I think there's a button that you can click. It's going to take you to where you can choose another time. Then it should keep all of your answers in there so you don't have to rewrite them. And then you can find another time that works for you, and then you can go ahead and book the call that way. So last thing I'll mention, and we're going to go into some Q&A. And I see we've already got Helen says she signed up. Chantel booked a call. Awesome. Awesome. We got a bunch of folks booking a call. That's great. So last thing I'll mention here is we do have a fast action bonus. So if you go ahead and book a call right now in the next few minutes on this webinar, if you're accepted into the program and you enroll, there's a couple things. You're going to get what we call a fast action bonus or fast action discount. So you get a discount on the program. And also, I'm going to personally promote your book to our SPS community of about 2,000 people and to our Facebook page of over 110,000 people when it launches. Okay? So we like to reward action takers and people who act quickly, because obviously that's, if you're the type of person that takes action, you're going to be the type of person that's successful in this program. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. If you haven't already, go ahead and click the blue Schedule Now button. Go to self-publishingschool.com/apply or click the blue Schedule Now button. Go ahead and find a time that works best for you. Pick the soonest time that works. Go ahead and fill out that short application, book a call, and then just comment in the chat here and let me know that you booked a call. Alan signed up. Laurel booked. James, yes, the call is free. I've covered the cost of it for you. Just make sure that you're serious about getting your book done and the things that I just mentioned a second ago. Mers has tried to book, but all times taken. So just try refreshing the page. There should be additional times. Like I said, there's probably a lot of people heading over to that page, and so those times might be booking up quickly, or maybe the time that you wanted was booked up. So just try again. And other folks, if you can let me know if you're seeing times. Let's see. Guinness booked a call. Isabel booked a call. Keith booked. Oh, Laurel said needed a refresh. Michael booked. Awesome. Jordan just booked. Excited? Nerves to get started. Awesome. Hey, that's usually a sign that you're moving in the right direction, right? If it doesn't make you uncomfortable, it's probably not worth doing. Jelilat booked. Cool. A couple questions about the cost of the program. Yeah, so it kind of depends on the book that you're writing and the help that you need. It typically is about a few $1,000. And that's something that we'll obviously be able to, first things first, we want to make sure that you're a fit for the program. And we're very selective on that. If you are, then we'll tell you about what it looks like to work together, and we can go through all the details, and you've got payment plans and stuff like that. And we can chat through that on the call. Somebody said, I'm looking forward to cloning myself with this book. That's amazing. Mary says, I love the idea of getting involved and finding out more, but I'm not ready yet. I'm setting myself a challenge, which I'm writing about, and haven't done it yet. What can I do if I want to book at a later date? So Mary, I would encourage you just book, I would encourage you to still book a call because a lot of times you can get strategic insights that make sure when you're ready to start that you're being strategic about it. And so you kind of got your ducks in a row versus waiting, and you're at least like kind of moving the ball forward and you're moving forward in the process. Tammy says, what about folks who are already own the product but haven't started yet? Bought about a year ago. Awesome, Tammy. So yeah, just email team@self-publishingschool.com and we can help you there. Or you can go, that's probably going to be the best bet. And we'll be able to help you and see, make sure that you still got access to the program. If you have a coach, we can put you back in touch with that person. Or if you don't have a coach, we can help you get one. Rob booked a call. Awesome. Neville booked a call. Joke booked a call. All right, I'm walking through some of the questions here. Mark, oh, awesome. Says during your session at BYEB, I was in the No Book Here Club. Now I know I've probably got several books in me. My realistic time frame is later this year or next. Very interested. Thanks for sharing. Awesome. Thanks, Mark. Feel free to book a call with us if this is something that you want to chat about. I know for me personally, I was so glad that I did it sooner than later. There was just so much leverage that I gained from doing this where, sure, there's a passive income stream from your book, but also more importantly, it's like I'm now able to get interviewed for podcasts, increased authority. I'm able to charge more in my business. Like it really does kick off. Obviously you've seen for how much that's done. You've seen, if you were at BYB, Scott Groves, who's one of our students. There was, I think it was Jesse who wrote the book on cold showers, also one of our students. It really just kicks off and leverages what you're doing from a business perspective in a much bigger way. Let's see, Keith, do you have examples of books in the health or medical area? Absolutely. We've got, we've had a lot of books in that space. Sean, who's our community manager, he's a physical therapist. He's written 2 books in that space. We've had a lot of physical therapists, a lot of chiropractors, a lot of non-traditional and traditional medicine folks that have written books with us. Mary says, I'm in the UK. Can I still get a free call over Skype or FaceTime? Yeah, so what we could probably do there is we can either, once you book the call, if you'll just make a note of that in your application, and we have international calling capabilities, and we should be able to call you that way. Or worst case, I think we could also be able to use WhatsApp. Tony says, I really appreciate the posts you send, have downloaded your book published and audio plus other webinars that I've attended. That's awesome. Thank you, Tony. Laurel says, I'm so excited. I'm excited for you, Laurel. That's awesome. Oh, cool. James says, I'm sorry I missed, I'm at work. I had to take some calls and miss some of the information. You said only book a call if what again? Yeah. So only book a call if this is something that you're serious about, right? If you're serious in implementing this, we don't want you to waste your time and we don't want you to waste our time, right? So we want to make sure this is a high impact 45 minutes. So make sure that if you book a call, you're going to show up. All of these call slots will be taken on a daily basis. Gosh, I don't know how many people it is. It's 40 to 60 people every single day book a call to chat with our team. So all of our call slots are, it's probably 90% plus of our call slots are always filled. So just know that if you book a call and you don't show up or you don't take it seriously, that you're taking a slot away from someone who would love to chat about their book and who is taking it seriously. So I don't mean to sound too intense there. Just making sure that this is a priority for you, that you're willing to invest in yourself in this book and in making it successful. And then, that you're someone who has high integrity and is going to, genuinely cares about writing a great book that helps people, right? That this isn't just a cash grab or a money grab, but that you're passionate about this. Are there payment plans? Yes. Patsy, yeah. So purchased the program in late 2017. Yeah, so Patsy, I would say, you can go ahead and book a call here and we can chat about, we've got a brand new program that we just launched that is, it's SPS 2.0 is what we're calling it. It is really, really good. And so we can chat about what it would look like to upgrade and then get you plugged back in with a coach and stuff like that. Yes, there are payment plans. Lilac, yeah, I'm in. Awesome. Looks like we got a bunch more people booking a call. Irene says book successfully, just not sure which book will be the best for success. Yeah. So Irene, great point. That's exactly what we can chat about on that call. Joyce, let's see. Book to call in this program. Will I finish with a published book or will it teach me how to proceed with publishing my book? Yeah, so you'll finish with a published book. So we're not a publishing company. So the one thing I always say is we can't do the work for you. We can't write your book and we can't publish your book, but we will help you through the process. And we're going to save you a ton of time and we're going to save you a ton of money. And then, there's kind of 3 value props or value propositions or ways that, you get a good return on investment. So we save you a ton of time. We save you a ton of money. And then you'll make more money from your book and from clients that you get in book sales and stuff like that. Helen says, you've never had a student from Namibia. I'm Helen. I'm busy with the book and will need your help in the next weeks. Thanks. I'm so inspired. Hey, Helen, book a call. I'm not sure that we haven't. Maybe you saw it on that map. I'm not sure that we haven't had a student from there. But if we haven't, it'd be awesome for you to be the first. and then now we can check one more country off the list. That'd be amazing. Angie says, I booked a call. Says, Kat booked for today. Awesome. Rob says, last year I was going to do this. Well, a whole year is gone and no action taken. This year for sure. Rob, that's amazing. Let's do it. Don't feel bad. This story is very familiar. Book a call with us today. Let's chat and let's get this thing going. Maybe you heard me mention this earlier. There's probably a lot of folks on this training who are just like you. Right? They've been thinking about it for years, maybe even decades, and something needs to change, right? It's time to commit to doing this book, to getting it done. Because I know for me, this is a legacy piece, we're not promised tomorrow. And if tomorrow you were to pass away, this book would live on and it would help people, whether it's your kids, your grandkids, or other people. I know when I first got a physical copy of my book, that was the big takeaway for me, is that long after I'm off this earth, this book's going to be here. So it's time to commit to it. It's time to get it done. We'd love to help you with that. Beneath, book to call. Sai says, if I'm working already on a book, how will SPS help? Yeah, so we'll help you get it done. Again, think Indiana Jones meets Jillian Michaels, but more importantly, you will sell more books by working with us. So we're very, very good at the marketing piece. You know, there's a reason you're here and there's a reason you're paying attention is because we're good at marketing, right? And that's something that, you know, it's a skill set that we've developed. And so our authors just sell more books. So if you're interested in having a more successful launch, we'll be able to help with that. Diane, book to call. Oh, Edna says, I'm referring 2 new students today who could be on this call and are also interested in choosing the best speaking your book technology. Awesome, Edna. We would love to chat with them, love to help them. All they have to do is go to self-publishingschool.com/apply and then let us know that you sent them our way, and we'll hook you up. So it's actually, you get $250 for each person that signs up based on you referring them. Kat says, I have a PhD and hope to make that investment pay. It did not job-wise. Absolutely. Awesome. Looking forward to a call tomorrow, says Guinness. Nick, book my call. Stephanie says, I really want to do this. I'm nervous. Haha. Yeah, a lot of people can relate. You've probably heard that from others. That's perfectly natural. Just go ahead and book a call with us. We can chat through those nerves and help you get started, Stephanie. We'd love to help you. Abby says, just booked a call. All right, I'm looking. There's a lot more questions. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to answer all of them. If I'm unable to answer your questions, just email support@self-publishingschool.com or give us a call at 864-729-3833, and we'd be happy to help you there. Mark says, booked, nervous, but you make it sound so easy. Thanks, Mark. It is not easy. It is simple, right? So if you follow the process that we lay out and you put in the work, you will be successful. Obviously, it takes work, though. So, you know, it's not necessarily easy, but it is simple if you follow the process that we lay out. Jan booked a call. I write in Spanish. Do I book a call? Absolutely. You saw the Spanish cookbook. We've helped students publish in a lot of different languages. Elizabeth says, having trouble booking a call this daytime in New Zealand. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. So just email support@self-publishingschool.com if you can't find a time, and hopefully we'll be able to accommodate that. I know that a lot of times that's our early morning calls, or even our late calls, or sometimes for folks in Australia and New Zealand. So I mean, I know that we do also have a coach that's in New Zealand, so that we can accommodate that. The last thing I'll mention, if you'd like the slides and also my notes, all you have to do is go to self-publishingschool.com/apply, or click the blue Schedule Now button. Scroll to the very bottom of that page. There should be a link that says click here to get the slides. That's going to take you to a page where you can download the slides, you can download the notes, you can download a mind map, and you can book a call, right? So it's got all those things there. And I'll just say one final call. If you haven't booked a call already, go click the blue button, go to this page, find a time that works. The sooner, the better. If you're on the fence about whether or not this might be a fit for you, I would encourage you to just book a call. There's no obligation. And like I said, I've covered the cost of the call for you. All I need you to do is show up excited, prepared, and ready to rock and roll on your book idea, right? So that's all we ask. Again, I'll just repeat what I said earlier. I really do believe that this is going to be the most powerful 45 minutes that you've spent on your book. So I would encourage you, go ahead and open that page before I close down the webinar here. Obviously, once I close down the webinar, you won't have the link or the button to click. So go ahead and click the button, go to that page, book a call, comment in the chat if you've booked a call. And we look forward to chatting with you real soon about your book. And I see Tonda says, thanks bunches for your free download. Great reading before I got here. Awesome, Tonda. Laurel says, thank you so very much. This has been a life-changing event. That's awesome, Laurel. I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for your book. So thanks to everyone who joined today. Thank you for staying all the way to the end. We look forward to chatting with you about your book and hopefully being able to help you with that book, help you make it a reality, and help you write and publish it successfully over the next few months. So look forward to chatting with you soon. Have a great rest of your day.